Guys, welcome back to the YouTube. It's early, it is 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm just making the first coffee of the day. I don't even know why I started this. It's been like, it's probably been the best part of 4 months since I last did like an actual vlog. And I've obviously chosen to do it on a day that I'm actually pretty busy as well, so it's going to be a challenge, but we're here for it. We've got a lot to update you on. Firstly, I have this little milk frother for my coffee in the morning. Honestly, it's an absolute game changer. What a mug. I don't measure out the milk, by the way, guys. We are not dieting at the moment, so we will not be measuring out the milk. You're tracking in like 10 calories worth of almond milk in a building phase. It's the least of your worries. Here we have meal 1, ignoring the fact that I burnt the trout skin to a crisp, but look, we'll ignore that. It'll give some extra texture. 1 trout fillet, 200 grams of mixed veg, 150 grams of egg whites, and 1 whole egg. So this has apparently turned into a little bit of a get ready with me. Never done one of these before, but I just thought whilst I'm actually going to do my makeup, I would just kind of update you on the situation because it's been quite some time. By the way, one thing that I will say for any of the girls listening, that I have totally like overhauled the makeup that I do use. I literally was not wearing any makeup before really for a long time, whereas I used to wear it all the time before. It was breaking me out so badly, and yeah, that almost like just stopped me from using it like altogether, which I'm absolutely fine with. Like I'll still go to the gym, I'll still go out without like makeup on, like that does not bother me, but I was just avoiding it really. Overhauled like all my makeup products basically, and I bought in like everything that was, what's it called, non-pore clogging. Go on this little app or website, I think it's on the ClearStem website, and you can check all your makeup products for pore clogging ingredients, and it has genuinely been the biggest game changer ever. Like it has made all the difference. Like my skin has never ever been this good, and it makes me think that actually a lot of the issues that I was having with my skin before was to do with the makeup that I was using. This is a day in the... Oh, fuck's sake. It's going well, guys. It's going well. So what is going on with me at the moment? That is the question. I haven't posted any updates on my social media for quite some time, like of like check-ins. And a lot of you might actually remember that I'd always said that I was going to step back on stage in 2025, which is technically this year. And in all honesty, plans change. And now I don't actually have any plans like set in stone as to when I'm actually going to be standing on stage again. I kind of came to the conclusion that mentally, even though physically I felt like I have made really good improvements over the past while, mentally I just didn't feel like it was the right time. And that's okay. Like remember that you can go out and set a timeline and have all of these things set in stone, and for any reason, for things that maybe are your choice or things that are not your choice, things can change, you can reroute, and that is okay. Like, you know, no one really cares all that much about what you're doing. That sounds like really harsh to say, but it's the truth. Like no one really is looking at you being like, oh God, well, why is she not doing X, Y, and Z when she said that she was going to be doing X, Y, and Z at this particular date? Like no one is going to be paying any attention to that. It's just you thinking that they do. But yeah, like I literally just had decided that I wanted to take a little bit of time away just to sort of live life a little bit. Since I stepped off stage from my first ever show in 2021 at the Arnold's, having won my class, I have literally just been practically all in on bodybuilding since then. And a lot of that has been a lot of time spent being basically a robot, because that's just the way I was doing things. Like it's how I saw so much progress, I believe, in myself as well, in terms of just being so, like, living a very robotic lifestyle. I loved it. Like, I really, really did. I literally, and I still do, like, I still love bodybuilding, but remember that you don't need to stand on stage each and every year, especially, to be a bodybuilder or to bodybuild or to still enjoy the lifestyle. I always like to believe that there is no rush to do it. And I fully stand by that, especially as a female. Remember that it takes your body, depending on the person and depending on your own individual genetics, it does take a while for your body to recover from doing a prep like that. My last prep was 30 weeks long in total. So it was a long prep. And I don't know, you might remember that my body did not bounce back very quickly from that. I had a lot of recovery work to do with my hormones after I came out of prep, and it took me the best part of probably 6 months to get everything in a good place again. And that's just because my body doesn't really like to be lean, and it was a long prep, and it was prepped for anybody. Anybody is pretty stressful, both psychologically and physically as well. And I loved it. I just felt like the closer this year was getting when I'd essentially be starting prep again, I was just not really, it didn't feel like I was mentally really in it. And whenever I start a prep, I want to make sure that I'm all in. I know that you need to be, I know how switched on you need to be. And in all honesty, it just didn't feel like the right time for me. I just felt that there was other things that were pulling my mind away that were priority, obviously, with launching Rise last year, and then obviously having photo shoots this year, and clients competing this year. And I just felt like my head was elsewhere, rather than actually not necessarily not on my own bodybuilding, but just on prep this year, because I know that I would really need to be locked in. It would make it quite difficult for me to travel. And that in itself, it just didn't feel like the right time. That's just what I'm trying to say. And maybe next year will be the right time. Maybe the year after will be the right time. I'm not going to put any crazy pressure on myself. I still love living this lifestyle. I'm probably still more on it than a lot of people. I still make sure that all my meals are accounted for. I don't miss meals. I don't miss training sessions. All of that still runs the same. Variety in here and there, without being totally married to my training plan or a logbook, which has actually been really nice. And the same for food as well. If I want something, generally I have it, which, to be fair, you can just do that anyway in an off-season setting. But for me, I'm just, when I actively know that prep is coming up, I'm so one-track minded. I'm so rigid, and that's just the way that I am. So just by giving myself this bit of mental freedom across this next year, or this past year, I suppose, second half of the year, has just been really nice. It's just been really, really nice to me, just to sort of not be a robot all the time. And this is not to say that you have to be a robot to be successful in bodybuilding. That's definitely not the case. But for me, that's just the way I've lived my life for a long time. And I just felt like I needed to take a bit of a step back from that. Focus on other things and prioritizing other things, like creating new connections, be able to put myself out there more, because I'm actually a very introverted person. I really have to initially try and make an effort to kind of put myself out in social situations than it coming really naturally to me. But obviously, once you get to know me, you can't shut me up. So I really just wanted to put more effort into making more connections, doing more things for myself, expanding my umbrella outside of just bodybuilding, focusing obviously even more attention than ever on coaching, and just not solely being in the prep competition bodybuilding bubble. Because then I started to feel like I don't just want to be a bodybuilder. I want to be me. I want to be Gem as well. I want to be known as a coach. I want to be known as a friend. I want to be known as a daughter. It's one of those things that I just felt like a lot of my life had just become bodybuilding, where that is just such a big priority to me that it just was taken away from everything else. And I just caught myself getting stuck in that. And I was like, right, something needs to change. I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And obviously that's where I made the decision to take it, not a step back from bodybuilding, but a step back from competitive bodybuilding for the moment, until the time is right. And I can't say when that will be, like I said, but I'm still grinding, I'm still doing my sessions, I'm still eating my meals. I would hope that I'm still making improvements. But like I said, if you have set a timeline out for yourself, remember that you're not, as much as you can hold yourself accountable to that timeline, if plans change and you, for any reason, decide that it's not the right time for you to be doing something, then you don't have to feel bad about that. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Your route can change. It doesn't mean that that goal is now not there. It just means that you've rerouted or you've readjusted your timeline to suit you better. You need to make sure that the timeline is what fits you, your goals, and where you're currently at this point in time. Physically, mentally, emotionally, stage in life, like all of these things, like they do play into the decisions you make. But that does not stop you from improving. It does not stop you from still putting the work in and pursuing that self-improvement day in, day out in one form or another. Just to give you a bit of an idea about how I'm looking at the moment, this is me currently around 68 kilos, which is a pretty happy weight for me. Like I maintain around 68 pretty comfortably. My body just likes to sit here, probably eating around like 2,600 calories per day at the moment, and obviously putting all of that into training. I have been coaching myself for the past few months now, and I would say that I'm still very, very consistent with everything. I hold myself accountable, but I obviously do have a set meal plan in place, and whenever I want to, I just fit in a little bit more flexibility. If I want to change a meal, if I want to go out for a meal, if I want to have a croissant or a pastry when I'm out at a coffee shop, I will have that. And still, of course, focusing on growing these glutes, which I think will be a focus point till the day I die. So at the moment, the goal is to keep improving whilst maintaining a fairly tiny physique. In the past, I have pushed up pretty heavy, and I just don't feel I need to do that this time around. And I'm pretty happy with the shape at the moment. We do have a few trips coming up, and I'm thinking that once I get back, it might be time for a little reset and a little dieting phase, so I'll be sure to document that for you guys as well. It's now 3:45. It has been a stressful day. Like it's just, when you're on a call to like a company or a bank, and you're just like something is going wrong, and you're just, you know what? It's that meme where it's the dog sat in the middle of the room that's on fire, and he's like, "This is fine." But yeah, that is how I feel today. But in any case, we're getting through the day. I have my little slab of apple slices. Actually another update is I got Invisalign. So now every time I have to eat a meal, which for me is like 5-6 times a day, I have to keep taking out my Invisalign and putting it back in. So, needs must. At least I'll have straight teeth by the end of this, but not the most convenient thing in the world. But anyways, we'll make it work. You know what I will actually show you is one of my girls that is currently in her first ever competition prep. She's killing it and she looks unreal. We've literally just taken a week's diet break. She's been a week back onto her baseline food now, but wow, the fullness. So the reason why we take diet breaks in prep, or even as a lifestyle client, is to basically just drop off any fatigue and stress that has been accumulated over the time that you've been dieting for. Like that could be physical stress, that could be just, I suppose, the psychological aspect of being in deficit and having lower food as well. So by taking a week of higher food, lower expenditure, it allows you to sort of drop off that diet fatigue a little bit more so, which means that mentally you feel so much pressure. Physically, you're in a much better position. It's going to be so much better if you can fit these things in a dieting phase to be able to retain muscle mass. And it really does help drive you forward and just keeps you responsive really in so many cases. So she is absolutely killing it. Week post diet break and looking incredible. Like this is probably the best she's actually looked so far. So definitely tighter than what she was actually pre-diet break, so she just filled out nicely, and yeah, buzzing with the look at the moment. So very, very happy. Cannot wait to see her on stage eventually when the day comes. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight as to like the diet breaks and why we would use them. It's typically a period of time of maybe like 4 days up to even a few weeks, depending on the circumstances, where you're really focusing on just getting that expenditure down, seeing if you can bring carbohydrate up a good bit, and just putting all that fuel into training. And off the back of that, usually your body responds so well, although you will be most likely very, very hungry dropping back to baseline food. And now I remember why I don't do YouTube, is because I literally do nothing exciting on a day-to-day basis other than literally train, eat, sleep, and work. But hopefully we have a few exciting bits and pieces coming up this year, so that should keep me motivated to keep posting. But I just thought I would show you my meal my current sort of rest day meal 4 at the moment, which is a classic tuna with light mayo, a jacket potato which I made in the air fryer, and some cucumber. I've also unknowingly sort of become pescatarian, not out of choice, just because I've just been fancying fish, and it just means that a lot of my meals are fish based, like tuna or sea bass or trout or salmon. And obviously I do have some whey isolate and some yogurt in there as well, like 0% Greek yogurt, but I actually haven't had any like chicken or beef like in my actual plan, unless I fancy a different meal, which obviously I'll have that included, but it's just all been fish recently. But in any case, I'm really enjoying it, and I know that if I want to have that bit of flexibility and swap something else in, then I can. That's sort of how this meal came about, because like I said, I was following a very rigid plan before, but I've just kind of started to branch out a little bit more, making a few little different bits and pieces, not too often because I'm still an absolute sucker for routine, especially when it comes to my food, because then I don't have to think about it. Like, that's the beauty of having like a meal plan, is the fact that you don't have to think twice about trying to fit everything in or plan everything into your macros, which is why I think a lot of my clients like meal plans as well. Although you always have the option to make some swaps here and there with macros, and flexibly dieting whenever you do fancy it. But I think always having a baseline meal plan works wonders. Look at that. They just don't even bother knocking on the door anymore because we can't ever hear the door. So we just never come to the door to open it for them. So yeah, I feel kind of guilty about that, but oh well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I feel like I say this every single time, but I do apologise for going so long between YouTube videos. Like, genuinely, I need to sort my shit out when it comes to the YouTube. But like I said a little bit earlier on in the video, there may be a little diet series coming up in the lead up to summer, so that should actually give me something a little bit more to document for you guys at that point. I actually have a shit ton of packing to do, and I'm not even started. The suitcase is empty, and I mean empty. But if you do enjoy the videos, and if you want to really drive me to do more, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will chat to you in the next one.